Thanks, man. What's good, YouTube, man? It's your boy, man, Jay Willie Silly, man, aka Mr. Take It Easy for you end up like Bazy. But make sure I follow my Twitch, man. Subscribe to my second channel. Everything you need to know about your boy Jay is in the description down below. And for all my new subscribers, if y'all do want to go check out all of my scare reactions, it is in the playlist section over yonder. But we got 3 true sounds in the house horror stories. Now, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. You know what I mean? I be hearing some sounds in my house, too. Y'all probably be seeing me sometimes when I be doing the video, and y'all be seeing me do that sometimes, bro, because sometimes I be hearing sounds in my house. You feel me? I'm gonna keep it real with you, bro. I be hearing sounds in my house, and like I said, like, you know what I'm saying? I be like, what the freak? You know what I mean? It don't sound like nobody be walking, but it just sound like somebody be walking, though. You know what I mean? I told y'all, man, and I told y'all this story before, and I'm gonna say it again, y'all. I was sleeping in this room right here. You know, I remember like it was yesterday. Y'all probably remember this story. My back was turned. I was facing the window. My back was turned. All I know, bro, is I heard a freaking huge bang on my bed, bro. You know what I'm saying? Bro, I'm telling you, bro, it's like somebody banged on my freaking bed, man. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, I'm telling y'all, bro. I remember that junk like it was freaking yesterday, bro. I've always been dealing with weird stuff ever since I've been a kid, chat. I'm telling y'all, bro. Ever since I've been a kid, I've always dealt with weird stuff, bro.
Aren't you tired of hoping the right
Always dealt with weird stuff, bro. I'm telling y'all, bro. That was weird, bro. Somebody banged on my dang bed, eh?
So to start, my family history is very tragic. My parents got into a serious car accident when I was a little kid.
Dang.
My dad passed away in the hospital from his injuries.
Oh, man.
My
Sorry to hear
mom had
that.
lasting injuries that still affect her, making it difficult for her to walk. My dad left us the house that my mom and I continued to live in for many years to come. Eventually, my mom started seeing someone when I was around 10, so she'd be out of the house quite often. My uncle Steve would often stay at the house for days at a time while she was gone, and I got really close with him. He was my babysitter of sorts for a long time. He was always a cool uncle. He'd play catch with me in the yard, he'd take care of our pets, he'd take me to the movies, stuff like that any kid needs. Memories I didn't get to form with my dad, unfortunately. As the years
Hey, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. I'm sorry to hear that.
on and I got older.
I'm in my best friend, y'all. It was the saddest thing ever, but my best friend, bro. Like my best friend, bro. His name was Gavin Cruz. This was back when I was in Alabama. His dad died, bro. His dad died in the car crash, bro. You know what I'm saying? And this was like, we literally went to cause his mom was like my second mom, bro. Like this was like somebody like my best friend, bro. You feel me? His mom was like my second mom. So before he died, bro, they literally like renewed their vows. You know what I'm saying? Like we went, you feel me? And if y'all don't know what renewing vows is, basically, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like marriage, bro. Basically just renewing vows, but they renewed their vows, bro. I remember, bro, like went to the wedding and everything, bro, where they renewed their vows, bro. They was just so happy, bro. And then a few weeks later, bro, we got that call that Mr. Bobby didn't die, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just like, dang, like, and this somebody that I used to see all the time, you know what I'm saying? Especially just being my best friend, bro. He used to be coming to the games, you know what I'm saying? Him and my dad was like this, bro. You feel me? Like, that's what I'm trying to tell y'all, bro. Ever since I've been little, bro, I've been seeing death ever since I've been a little kid, man. You know what I mean? I remember like it was yesterday, bro. He used to spend the night at my house all the time, man. And he was in the room. He just broke down freaking crying, bro. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I realized, the best response is no response. You know what I mean? I ain't know what the freak to say to him, because I still had my dad. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that was just my best friend. He felt comfortable, bro. He just started crying, bro. You know what I'm saying? I ain't know what the freak to say, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I just stayed silent.
I got married to her second husband.
I ain't know that pain, bro.
Less and less. By the time I was 16, there was a period where he just didn't come over for months and I didn't hear from him. My mom was comfortable leaving me home alone at this point, so I didn't question it too much, and having the house to myself was always nice as a teenager. My mom would be home a couple nights a week for dinner, but for the most part, she lived with her husband.
Dang.
My mom was always very vague about what happened to my Uncle Steve. I had my suspicions that he was sick or dead, though. It may sound weird that my mom would hide something like that from me, but if you met my mom, you'd get it instantly. Because of what she went through, I think it made her a much more compassionate person that doesn't want to cause any kind of stress or grief toward another person. By the time I turned 18, I was a legal adult and the house was basically mine. My mom would visit occasionally, but she and her husband had already gotten another house together. As an 18-year-old guy having a house to myself, you could imagine that I wasn't complaining.
Hold on. She just like left her house to you? Dang, bro.
Yes.
She just left her house to you? Bro, what the freak?
I'd have friends over for late nights.
Crazy.
Yes, I'd have girls over. And yes, I'd often not pick things up off the floor for days at a time. I would miss my Uncle Steve though, as he was the father figure that I grew up with. And there were times where being in a big empty house by myself at such a young age was kind of lonely and depressing. I would numb this feeling often by, I guess, doing the things I just mentioned, having girls over and late nights with friends. I still had my dog Jojo, the only other life in the house really. He was an Australian Shepherd, and at the time of this story, he was 13 years old.
Old dog.
Man. He always slept by my side in bed, but one night in January, I remember this because the Christmas tree was still up. I woke up and Jojo wasn't in bed. I got up thinking he was downstairs somewhere and he had to go to the bathroom. I called his name as I walked down the stairs. I didn't hear him, so I walked to the kitchen where the basement stairs and back door were, and I saw him in the dark. He was staring intently down the basement stairs.
You good, Mojo?
He usually left that door open because it was a bitch to close. He only moved when he turned his head to look at me for a second, but then he looked right back down the stairs. I stepped to the edge of the stairs and then looked at Jojo and said, "What is it, boy?" His tail started wagging just a bit for a second, then went stiff again. I flicked on the light in the basement and looked down the stairs. Jojo inched closer but didn't bark. I felt a cold shiver run down me as I looked down into the basement. Of all places for your dog to stare down like this, the basement is the worst place.
Boy, what?
I turned off the light and grabbed Jojo by the collar to bring him upstairs. I shut the door so he couldn't leave again. Was I creeped out? Yes, a little. It was unusual behavior for him. I was mainly asking myself what he could have heard. I tried to go back to sleep. At this point, my mind was kind of racing though, and it didn't help that every few minutes or so, I would hear and feel the vibration on the bed as Jojo would look up at the doorway, as if still hearing something from downstairs. I decided I would investigate. I wasn't going to be a mama's boy and text my mom at whatever off hour in the night it was telling her I'm scared. Part of not having a father figure in the house when you're young is becoming a man early on. I went downstairs again, and by the time I was at the bottom, I heard Jojo walking down following me. Jojo then caught up to me and went straight for the basement door again, and he stopped in the same position as last time. I stopped alongside him and looked down the stairs to the darkness again. I can't believe I did this, but I called down the stairs, saying, "Is someone there?"
It's your weirdo uncle. How much I want to bet is his weird uncle? You know what I mean? How much I want to bet his weird uncle came from the dead? You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying, bro. That's the first thought in my brain. It's your weird uncle. You know what I mean? Just because they family, that don't mean they ain't weird. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep it a beezy. You know what I mean? I met some weird family members, bro. I'm going to keep it real with you. I ain't going to speak on no name. You know what I'm saying? But the family be weird than a mother. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to just keep it a beezy. Just keeping it busy.
There was no response. I started walking down the steps.
Since your weirdo uncle, I'm trying to tell you, bro. It's a reason he not in your life. How much I want to bet?
Each one creaking beneath me. I hated those old steps. You couldn't see into the basement until you were about halfway down the stairs, as the ceiling was low. I was on maybe the third step when I heard the voice. It was my uncle's voice. I knew it right away, all these years later. It was my uncle's voice from somewhere in the basement, saying my name, only it sounded weak, like he was injured. I ran down to the basement as my heart dropped out of me. I got to the bottom, and it was just an empty basement. "Uncle Steve?" I called out. Jojo was still at the top of the stairs looking down at me. He didn't want to come down.
Your uncle dead, gang? You just heard your uncle, and tell me why. Tell me why ain't nothing but a heart. Tell me why. Tell me why. You just heard your dang uncle. You go down that dang basement floor and your uncle ain't down there. You know what I'm saying? Your uncle dead, boy? Is there a reason your mom did not want to tell you your uncle was dead? I don't know, that's kind of suspicious, man, but your uncle's dead, man.
Jojo was still at the top of the stairs looking down at me. He didn't want to come down. I walked further into the basement, and there was nobody there.
Freak is your uncle.
My heart was beating 100 beats per minute at this moment. I peeked behind the couch and even behind the TV. There was nowhere else for anyone to be
Dude, that's some
besides
scary.
the laundry room, which was in the corner.
Holy crap.
I took one look into the corner, and I thought I heard the slightest sound on the other side of the door. That's when something just came over my entire body, where I had to sprint upstairs like a little kid and get out of there. When I got to the top step, I didn't even shut the light. I struggled to just close the basement door and then run upstairs. Poor old Jojo barked the first barks I'd heard from him in months. He followed behind as fast as he could as I went upstairs. First thing I did was lock us in my room. Then I called my mom over and over until she picked up. When she did, I was whisper screaming into the phone, telling her someone's down in the basement, and it sounded just like Uncle Steve. In fact, I knew it was Uncle Steve. I told her that Jojo was at the basement door when I woke up, after he obviously heard something too. My mom was surprisingly calm and just let me finish. When I finished, I waited for her to say something in panic or anything, but she just said in a gentle, calm voice that I probably just woke up from a bad dream. I doubled down and swore to her that someone was down there.
What you mean I probably just woke up from a bad dream? It's easy for you to say because you over there getting your cheeks clapped by your husband, you know what I'm saying, by your new husband, and you just living a dream. Man, I'm over here in this terror house, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying? See, it's easy. It's easy. And like I said, you're too calm, man. You killed Uncle Steve? You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry if I'm paranoid, chat. You know what I mean? I just seen a whole lot of get back gang, get back gang, get back gang. You know what I mean? I seen a whole lot of get back gang. I seen mothers killing daughters, daughters killing mothers, dads killing sons, sons killing dads, sisters killing brothers, brothers killing sisters. Did you miss me? You know what I mean? Could you blame me? You feel me? Did you kill Uncle Steve?
Even Jojo knew it. I asked her if she thought I would just make that up. This is where she paused for a second, and it's because this was the moment she decided to tell me the truth. That my Uncle Steve got sick with cancer and died years ago, and that's why he stopped coming over. Before she could finish her explanation, I told her it's not possible. He's down in the basement right now. She then stopped me and said, "Listen to me. If someone's in the basement, you need to call the cops right now." So that's what I did. I hung up, dialed 911, and told them of a break-in. Jojo and I waited in my bedroom until there was a knock at the front door, followed by the doorbell. I ran downstairs to let them in and eagerly pointed them to the basement. The basement door was still basically jammed shut like I left it.
Uncle hunting the spot?
There, but I didn't listen. I insisted on going down with them. I reenacted everything as we went down, what I heard, when, and where. Then I showed them where I looked around, and then I pointed to the one spot I didn't check, the laundry room where I heard the sound. They went to open the door, and I showed them the light switch. When the light turned on, there was no one inside. The laundry room looked how it always looked. There was no one hiding in any secret crevices or behind the machines, nothing. It was as void of people as could be before we came in. I knew I was looking crazy right about now. We went back upstairs, and they did a little search of the first floor as well, then the upstairs. The house was as clear as it could be. There was no one there. They were at least pretty level-headed and not demeaning about it, even though they probably thought I was a whack job. They left, and I went back upstairs to call my mom again. She picked up right away, and this is where she finished explaining. My Uncle Steve died years ago, but she didn't want to tell me because she knew I suffered enough loss, and she couldn't bring herself to tell me. So she just played it off like my uncle kinda disappeared, which I yelled at her was infinitely worse, but that also didn't explain my hearing his voice just now in the basement. I calmed down and then said into the phone, "Mom, I'm scared." She believed what I heard, I know it, and that scared me even more. She tried to convince me everything would be alright and that my brain was playing tricks on me.
Man, all that little brain playing tricks, bro. Ain't no brain playing tricks like, let's stop the nonsense, bro. Brain playing tricks, man. Ain't no brain playing tricks on me. That man was wide awake. Freak his brain playing tricks on him for. Bro was wide awake. You know what I'm saying? Bro wasn't tweaking. Till his dog started tweaking. What is you talking about? How I'm playing tricks on me, bro? You know what I'm saying? I want my brain wasn't playing tricks on me any other time. Now my brain playing tricks on me now. Hey, get the freak off my phone, Mom.
I pretended to agree.
I probably would have cussed my mom out. Hey, Mom, get your blanket of blank self phone off my blanket of blank phone for a blanket of blank blanket of blank.
We hung up, and I pulled Jojo close to me. He was the only thing keeping me from freaking out of my skin that night. I didn't fall asleep for another few hours. For a whole week after that, life in that house was hell. I couldn't go anywhere near that basement door. Jojo wouldn't stare at it anymore, but it was still haunting. I know it was all real because Jojo was reacting to something. Had Jojo not been there, I could have played it off as a late-night hallucination or mind tricks. But no, someone or something was down there. Something that had my uncle's voice. My mom sold that house just a year later.
That's crazy. Sold the house, you had the house and everything, paying no bills. Golly, boy, you was living the life, boy. Telling you right now.
When I was 24 and
right now,
upstairs of an old house by myself. It wasn't technically an apartment. It was more like the second floor had been turned into its own little living space years ago. There was a bedroom, bathroom, tiny kitchen, and a living room, and the landlord lived out of state, so I almost never saw him. The first floor was empty and had been for months because he was supposedly renovating it before renting it out again. That part always made me a little uneasy because it meant every night I was sleeping above a completely dark, empty floor of the house. Still, the rent was cheap, and I told myself I was being dramatic. For the first few weeks, nothing happened. Then one night around—
Oh, you said the rent was cheap? Hold on, what?
Dark, empty floor of the house. Still, the rent was cheap, and I told myself I was being dramatic.
Here we go with the rent is cheap. Here we go. Here we go. The rent is cheap. The rent is cheap, bro. Cheap is not always the best option. That we gotta understand, man. I told y'all, have y'all ever heard something? It's too good to be true. Ever heard that before? Too good to be true. No, I mean, that's the freaking realest slogan I've ever heard in my dang life. Too good to be freaking true. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta pay the cash, bro. I'm not saying spend obnoxious amount of cash. I'm not saying do that. All I'm saying is cause like, too cheap. Sometimes too cheap is just like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Sometimes y'all just a little too cheap, bro. You feel me?
A few weeks, nothing happened.
Got to spend some money to get something nice now. You feel me?
Around 1 a.m, while I was in bed doom scrolling, I heard what sounded like a single footstep directly below me. It was so clear that I actually froze and waited for another one.
Rick?
A few seconds later, I heard another. It sounded exactly like someone slowly walking through the first floor living room. I sat up in bed and just listened. I remember thinking maybe it was the house settling, but it didn't sound like that. Old house noises usually had more of a creak or a pop to them. This sounded heavier, like actual weight pressing on floorboards. I stayed still for a long time, then finally convinced myself it had to be nothing. The next day, I checked the first floor on my way out. It was locked. I even opened it and looked inside. The place was empty and dusty, with no furniture except for an old broken table in one room. I felt stupid for being unsettled. The next night, nothing happened. The night after that, it happened again.
I mean, how you feel how you feel stupid being unsettled? Like, cuz you know what you heard. I mean, I know what the freak I heard. I told you, I'm not one of those people that's gonna be like, well, I probably was tripping, man. It probably wasn't nothing. You know, it was nothing, man. Nah, I mean, just tripping, man. Probably was the house just creaking and whatnot. Did I hear a freaking footstep? You know what I mean? No. That's me. I told y'all. I trip hard. Did I hear a freaking footstep? Mother if I just heard another one. I gotta go down here with the 40. You know what I'm saying? I cannot sleep if I know I hear a footstep. I'm sorry. I don't believe in that. Oh, it's just a coincidence. Nah, heck nah, bro. I know what the freak I heard just for when it come to old boy before this story right here. You know you heard your uncle's voice. You know when you went down that statement. You know what the freak you heard. Don't try to be on some like, I was probably hallucinating. Well, I probably was a little bit sleepy. Motherfucker, you know what you heard. You know what I'm saying? You know exactly what you heard, bro.
It started at around—
Hey, bro, am I the only one? And I got another thing too, and I ain't gonna lie. I know this happened to a lot of people. Bro, am I the only one that sometimes I hear somebody calling my name? Bro, they used to happen to me all the time when I was a child, y'all. I'm telling y'all. Somebody scream out, Jay! Bro, go to my pops. I'm like, hey, pop, you just call my name? Bro, somebody say my name, y'all, just like that. That ain't never happened to you before? Bro. Y'all, bro. I'm telling y'all, bro. Somebody used to call my name when I was little, bro. Used to go to my mom and dad. Hey, mom and dad, you called my name, bro. Better jump be loud. Just like, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I'm telling y'all, bro. Word up. That junk happened to me this morning. That junk happened to me Freaking not this morning. When I woke up, bro, something said my name, bro. Telling y'all, if I'm lying or not, some jail. Like what? It was like an alarm clock. I woke up. Cause I'm telling you, I be thinking that God, bro, speaking, bro. You know what I'm saying? Say my name clear as day. I'm telling you, I know I ain't tweaking. I heard that junk. Waking up, cuz. I heard that junk. It was like an alarm clock. I was kind of sleeping over the limit a little bit. It was like a freaking alarm clock, bro. Jail. I was like, what? Woke the freak up. You know what I'm saying? That ain't never happened to y'all before. That's crazy. I know it happened to some of y'all that's watching this dang. I know I ain't tripping, bro. Somebody say your dang name and then you go to your parents and you thinking it's your parents came and they say name. No, I ain't tripping, bro.
30. It was the same thing. Slow footsteps.
Somebody say my name out loud, bro.
3 or 4 at a time, then silence, then a few more.
The freak is that?
Lasted maybe 2 minutes. I muted my TV and stood in the middle of my living room listening down through the floor. I kept telling myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe an animal got in. Maybe pipes somehow sounded like that.
There you go.
But deep down, I knew it sounded like a person moving around.
Come on now.
I texted my friend Scott about it, and he made a joke that the downstairs tenant had finally moved in. Over the next week, it kept happening. It was always late at night and always from downstairs. Sometimes it was footsteps, but once it sounded like a cabinet door shutting. That was the first time I got genuinely scared enough to call the landlord. He sounded annoyed more than concerned. He said no one had keys except him and me, and he was out of state. He told me old homes make weird noises, and said if I was really nervous, I could call the police, but he didn't think there was any reason to. That response actually made me more uncomfortable, because now I felt like if something was wrong, I was on my own. One Friday night, I was out later than usual, and didn't get home until almost 2. The second I stepped into my upstairs apartment, I felt something was off. I don't know how else to explain it. Nothing looked different, and the lights were off like I'd left them, but something felt different. I stood for a second listening, and everything was quiet, but then directly below me, I heard a thud. It sounded like something had bumped into a wall or a piece of furniture downstairs. I backed up so fast I almost tripped on the rug. I remember just standing there staring at the floor like I could somehow see through it. Then came more footsteps. I left immediately and sat in my car with the doors locked. I actually called the police that time. 2 officers came and checked the whole first floor and outside of the house. They found nothing. One of them said there was no sign of forced entry and no one inside.
What the freak?
He was polite about it, but I could tell they both thought I had gotten worked up over house noises. For the next few days, I kept thinking maybe they were right. Then I started noticing little things. Once, I came home from work and the first floor door was open by maybe an inch. I knew I closed it after the police were there. Another time, I smelled cigarette smoke outside the side of the house near one of the downstairs windows. I don't smoke, and neither do any of my nearby neighbors, at least not from what I knew. Then one night, I heard the footsteps again, only this time they stopped directly beneath my bedroom. I was lying in bed, and it sounded like whoever it was standing still in the room below me. I held my breath and listened. After maybe 10 seconds, I heard a very light tapping sound. 3 taps, then silence. I can't explain the feeling going through my body at that point. It felt like I was being watched in that moment, even though that made no logical sense.
Stay still.
I grabbed my phone and texted my friend asking if I could come stay at his place. While I was waiting for him to answer, I heard the tapping again. 3 more taps in the same spot. I left without even changing clothes. The next day,
that's where you stayed at? You stayed here? Oh my God.
He came back with me because I didn't want to be there alone. We checked the whole place and again found nothing. But when we got to the downstairs kitchen, he crouched near one of the lower cabinets and said, "What is that?" There was a cigarette butt jammed way in the back under the cabinet toe kick, almost hidden. It looked fresh. That instantly made everything real for me. Somebody had been in there. At that point, I stopped caring if I sounded paranoid. I called the landlord again and told him exactly what we found. He seemed more concerned this time and said he'd drive over the next day. That night, I stayed somewhere else. When he got there the following afternoon, he called me and said there was nothing obvious, but one of the back windows downstairs didn't lock right. It looked closed, but from outside, it could be forced up enough for a thin person to get in. He said maybe somebody local had figured that out and was using the empty first floor when no one was around. Hearing that made me feel sick. I asked him if he was gonna fix it right away, and he said yes, but I'd already decided I was done. What really pushed me over the edge happened that same evening when I went back one last time to get some clothes and my laptop. I was upstairs stuffing things into a duffel bag when I heard a sound come from below that I hadn't heard before. It was a cough, and there was no mistaking it.
The freak out.
From the first floor hallway. For about 2 seconds, I just stood there digesting what I just heard. Then I grabbed the bag and ran out so fast I left half my stuff there. I called the cops again from my car. This time they actually found evidence someone had been coming in. Near the back window, there were fresh marks and dirt on the sill, and in a closet downstairs, they found an old blanket I had never seen before. I moved out that weekend. Ever since then, any sound in the house at night hits me differently.
Telling y'all, man, every time I do a scary video, them views drop, man. Y'all some scary mother effers, bro.
My name is Chris, and this happened when I was 22.
I'll be like,
I was
wow.
living in the upstairs of a mother-daughter house owned by our parents, with my older brother Tom living downstairs. The setup was pretty simple. My part of the house upstairs was one big open space for the living room, kitchen, and dining area, then a hallway that led to the bathroom, a spare bedroom I used as a big walk-in closet, and my bedroom at the end. Tom had his own separate entrance downstairs, and we had a door that connected the 2 floors from inside. It worked out well because we had our own space, but could still get to each other if needed. One week, Tom went to Mexico with his fiance, so I had the whole place to myself.
I don't ever Mexico, bro. I'm not going down there with no Sinaloa, and that's cartel infested, bro. That's one place I would never, you know what I mean, have a vacation at, Mexico. You know what I mean? I go anywhere else, but Mexico, bro, it's not the place to go. You know, I realize there's some good places in Mexico. I understand that. You know what I mean? But, bro, that's cartel country, bro.
Questions started completely normal. I got home around 7, threw something on TV, and started cooking dinner. Chicken and rice, something simple that didn't
with the extra gravy
require much attention. I had the TV going in the background, and everything was normal. Around the time I was cleaning up,
chicken and rice,
I thought I heard a noise from downstairs. I'm not sure how to describe it other than just a basic thud. Like it could have came from the wall, on the floor, I don't know. Just a thud. I stopped what I was doing and listened for a bit. I assumed it was something settling or something falling over slightly. The normal assumptions. The downstairs had been empty for a few days already since Tom left. Still, it felt random enough that I muted the TV and stood there for a bit. I didn't hear anything else, but I didn't like the feeling of ignoring it. So I went over to the door that led downstairs, which was already open, and went down to check. I turned on the lights and walked through every room. His living room, kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom. Everything looked exactly how it should. So I went back upstairs, finished cleaning, put everything away, and then sat on the couch for a while watching TV. After maybe an hour or so, I got tired and decided to go to bed. It didn't take long for me to start drifting off. Then, out of the blue, I heard music start playing from the living room. It was loud enough to instantly wake me up. It took me a second to even process what I was hearing. It was coming from my Amazon Alexa on the counter in the kitchen area. The song itself was some kind of slow instrumental song I had never heard before.
I'm just saying, why it's coming from your Alexa though? You know what I'm saying? Like your Alexa. You feel me? Ain't nothing supposed to be playing on Alexa unless I'm connected. You feel what I'm saying?
It had a sort of dark vibe to it.
What the freak?
I yelled Alexa stop from my bed a couple times.
I said, Alexa, stop, you whore!
It didn't respond. I got more annoyed than anything and got out of bed, went into the hallway, and said, Alexa, stop, louder.
Alexa demonic?
The music shut off right away. I looked at it for a second, pretty much knowing it was likely just a glitch. I went back into my room and got back into bed.
I ain't gonna lie, my Bluetooth don't never glitch. My JBL ain't never did that. Did you miss me? My JBL ain't never did that. I can't name one time my JBL speaker ever did that. Just turned on by itself. Started playing music. Oh no. Something up with Alexa. I'm telling you that right now.
A few minutes later, just as I was starting to fall asleep again, I heard the Alexa say, sorry, I didn't quite get that.
I'm having trouble understanding.
I got up.
The freak was that?
Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
I'm having trouble understanding.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. There's something wrong with Alexa chat. I ain't gonna lie. I'm thinking Alexa like on some demon. Y'all heard that, Joe? Did y'all hear that? You know what I mean? Alexa is on some demon stuff. Like I said, bro, my JBL never done that ever in life. You know what I mean? We gotta hear Alexa one more time. Hold on, Alexa on some demons. Hold on, what you just say, Alexa?
To say, sorry, I didn't quite get that.
I'm having trouble understanding.
Oh yeah.
I got up again, walked into the living room, and unplugged it from the wall completely. I remember thinking that would be the end of it. Clearly that confirmed the thing was glitching out.
I'll break Alexa.
I went back to my room, and this time I fell asleep pretty quickly. I don't know how much time passed, but I woke up suddenly to loud music again.
What the freak,
It took me
bro?
a second to even understand what was happening because I was still half asleep. Then it hit me. The music was coming from the living room again. I shot out of bed immediately because I remember unplugging the Alexa. There was no way it should have been on. I walked down the hallway slower this time. I didn't know what I was expecting to see, but I felt very uncomfortable now.
Got
I
40?
called out, "Alexa, stop," as I got closer, and the music shut off instantly. I then looked at the counter. The Alexa was plugged back into the wall. I just stood there staring at it for a few seconds. You would too if you were in the same situation.
Dang right.
I knew without a doubt I unplugged it, unless I sleepwalked and plugged it back in.
Oh God, here we go. Oh shoot. Oh, I know you're not finna go with that one. Now, I know you better than that. I know you're not finna go. I ain't gonna lie, you're like I said, you humans piss. You're really finna go with that one? Unless I sleepwalked and put it back in. Oh my God. So you really finna roll with that one? You really finna do this? I know you're not finna do this right now. You know what I'm saying? Do what you want to. Do what you want to.
I knew without a doubt I unplugged it, unless I sleepwalked and plugged it back in.
My
I remember
God.
pulling the cord out myself. There was no doubt about that.
Lexa coming in the room with me.
That's when that feeling in your stomach that something's really wrong hit me.
Somebody
I
watching.
didn't check anything else because I was too scared. I turned and went straight back to my room and locked the door.
Cuz, bring Alexa in with you, bro. That's what I would do. I bring Alexa in with me. I mean, bro, matter of fact, I'm breaking Alexa off the rip. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna keep it real with you, bro. I'm checking the whole house. Ain't no way I'm going back to sleep. Checking the whole house. If somebody's in this house right now, you're gonna die. I'm gonna just try to scream like a madman. Somebody in this dang house, you're gonna die tonight. You know what I mean? You are gonna die. And I'm not playing. You're gonna die tonight. I cannot go back to sleep knowing that I just plugged Alexa. I took the plug out of Alexa. I wake back up. Alexa is plugged right back in. Somebody is in this dang house and somebody got to die. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to die. And if I don't find nobody in that dang house, I'm breaking Alexa off the rip.
Thank God it had a lock.
You said they not taking me serious? Oh, they not going to take me serious? I promise you, like I said, bro, I got something called a 40. Shorty with the 40. He ready, he in his glory. He trying to catch a body and tell his homies a story. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know about y'all, but I ain't walking around with baseball bats. I ain't walking around with pocket knives. I'm walking around with hollows on me. You know what I mean? So yeah, you not taking me serious. Yeah, all right. Don't take me serious. I bet you take these bullets serious. You know what I'm saying? I told you I'm not finna play with you, bro. Get your little fake demonic self out my dang house. You know what I'm saying? For you get these bullet holes in you. Talking about you ain't gonna take me serious. All right, you gonna take these bullets serious, and I'm dead to freak serious.
I grabbed my phone and
Gonna take them
texted
bullets
Tom,
serious.
asking if he came back early and was messing with me. But as I was typing, I saw at the top of the screen under his name, it said location Mexico.
What?
If this didn't already seem weird, now this felt straight up like a nightmare.
Mexico?
I pulled the chair over to the door so I could sit and listen for anything on the other side. I didn't hear anything at first. Everything was completely quiet. I stayed like that for probably 10 minutes with my ear up on the door. Then I heard something that I will never forget. From out in the living room, I heard a whisper. It was quiet, but clear enough to understand what it was. It said, "Alexa, play," and then something I couldn't make out. My entire body went numb. It was like all the weight dropped out of me at once. Before I could react, the Alexa responded, and music started blasting again from the living room. I don't think I've ever felt that kind of dreadful fear before. I grabbed my phone and called 911, but instead of being quiet about it, I just started yelling that I was calling 911 and telling whoever was out there to get the F out. I don't know why I did that. I think I just panicked. I was 22, scared and defenseless. My first priority wasn't getting this person arrested, rather just getting them out. The music was so loud I couldn't hear anything else. I had no idea if the person was still out there or
Bro
not.
said my Rep the Lakers song going
The
famous on
operator
TikTok
answered,
now. What
and
you
I told
talking
them
about, bro?
someone was in my house. When the song finally ended, I yelled Alexa stop again from inside my room. It worked. The cops showed up a few minutes later.
Why you
Stayed
screaming?
in my room until they were inside and calling my name. When I came out, I explained everything as best I could.
You said it's going famous on TikTok right now? Let me see. Let me see. Like I said, a lot of y'all be trolling. Let me see right now. Let me see right now. You know what I'm saying? Let me see right now. Y'all like that? We rep the Lakers. Like they like that. Check out. They like they right there. Woo, hello, woo, boo.
They checked the entire
Hey,
upstairs.
look. I know you probably be trolling though. You know what I'm saying? It's cool though. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
And then went downstairs too. After a few minutes, they came back and said there was no one in the house. I don't know if that made me feel good or bad.
You shouldn't have said nothing, bro. You shouldn't have said nothing.
Good on one hand that the danger was gone, bad on the other that they got away. One of them told me that my front door was wide open when they got there. That front door was without a doubt locked, at the very least closed. That meant whoever it was had left through there, but it didn't explain how they got in. The officers eventually left after telling me to call again if anything else happened. I locked the front door, locked the door to the downstairs, and didn't sleep much the rest of that night. The next day, I couldn't stop thinking about something. The downstairs apartment had been empty for days while Tom was gone. There was a part of me that couldn't shake the idea that someone might have been staying down there and just came upstairs that night to harass me and scare me. That thought bothered me more than anything else that actually happened, so I stayed at a friend's place the next night. When Tom got back 2 days later, I'd already told him everything. We went through both parts of the house again and didn't find anything obvious missing or out of place. My brother only believed me because I showed him proof of the police having come there. Otherwise, he'd have thought it was a joke to scare him. The first thing we did was install cameras around the house, front, back, and inside by both doors. Nothing like that happened after that. Eventually, our parents made us get our own apartment so they could rent that house out for extra income. In a weird way, I was happy to get out of there because when something like this happens, it sticks with you, and it becomes attached mentally to that place where it happened.
Yeah, man, that's crazy right there, bro. 3 true sounds in the house, horror stories, you know what I'm saying? But